Imagine a young inventor, forced to flee his homeland due to political upheaval, with nothing but a few notebooks and the determination to keep his dream alive. This was the story of Edouard Michelin, who along with his brother André transformed the modern transportation world. Facing significant financial struggles and the collapse of their family business, the brothers did not give up. Instead, they repurposed what little they had and developed a revolutionary design, the removable pneumatic tire. At the time, the world was not ready for such innovation. The concept was ridiculed and the company faced relentless challenges. But their persistence paid off, as their invention became the cornerstone of modern vehicles and cycling. What seemed like hardship became the very means by which they achieved greater impact than they had ever imagined. In Acts chapter 8, we see a similar story, but with eternal implications. Today, we're going to dive into a critical moment in the early church, a moment of intense persecution, but also one that propelled the gospel farther than ever before. Acts chapter 8, verses 1 through 4 gives us a front row seat to see how God used hardship to spread his message. And Saul approved of his execution. And there arose on that day a great persecution against the church in Jerusalem. And they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. Devout men buried Stephen and made great lamentation over him. But Saul was ravaging the church and entering house after house. He dragged off men and women and committed them to prison. Now those who were scattered went about preaching the word. Stephen's death ignited a wave of persecution led by Saul, who wasn't content to merely oppose the church. He sought to destroy it. The Greek word for ravaging describes Saul's actions as savage and relentless, akin to a wild animal tearing into prey. Yet, even in this suffering, God was at work, using the scattering of his people to spread the gospel. Jesus had prepared his disciples for this, saying in John 15:20, "If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you." You see, persecution wasn't a possibility, it was a certainty. While we may not face persecution as the early believers did, we are still called to stand firm in our faith. If we've never encountered hardship for following Jesus, it's worth asking, are we living boldly enough that others see him in us? Verse 4 reveals the incredible response of these scattered believers. Now those who were scattered went about preaching the word. These weren't apostles or church leaders. They were ordinary men and women forced to flee their homes. And yet, they went. They carried the good news with them. The Greek word for scattered suggests sowing seeds, a picture God using hardship to plant the gospel in new places. What the enemy meant to destroy, God used to grow his kingdom. This scattering wasn't random. It was part of God's divine strategy. Fleeing believers carried the gospel to regions they may never have gone otherwise. Their pain became a platform for God's purpose, spreading the message to Judea and Samaria. This is a powerful reminder that even in our struggles, God is working to advance his plan. These believers didn't hide in fear or shrink back. Their extraordinary faith was on display as they shared Jesus in everyday encounters. They didn't need a pulpit. They didn't need a title. Just a willingness to speak about what Jesus had done for them. This challenges us. Are we willing to share Jesus wherever we find ourselves? You see, true outreach isn't limited to church events. It's woven into our daily interactions, at work, in our neighborhoods. It's with our family and friends. Often, I found it's in the hard or unexpected places that people are most open to hearing about hope. As you step into this week, ask God for courage and opportunities to share His love. Just as persecution couldn't silence the early church, let's boldly proclaim Jesus, trusting that He can use our testimony, even in difficulty, to reveal Himself to a watching world. Wherever we're scattered, we are part of God's plan to make Jesus known.